Because it takes so long to set up this quest, the tips and tricks portion will be around the 8-minute mark when I talk about questing successfully. Alright, let's go. A warm welcome. The Lonely Mountain. Aw, a nice warm welcome. That's nice. Okay, lots of text here. We're going to search the encounter deck for Smaug the Golden, Smaug the Magnificent, the Lonely Mountain, and a Bear Patch. We're going to set Smaug the Magnificent and the Bear Patch aside out of play. We're going to add Smaug the Golden and the Lonely Mountain to the staging area, and then we're going to shuffle the 5 Erebor treasure cards and stack them face down under the Lonely Mountain. Side 1B has some nice flavor text, and then it says, skip the quest phase. At the end of the round, advance to stage 2. Well, anytime a card tells you to skip the quest phase, you know you're in for something pretty rough. So we do get a free turn. Alright, so here's all the cards that we're going to have in play at the start of the game. So here are the 5 treasure cards that I'm going to try to burgle out of the Lonely Mountain. So you give those a shuffle, and those will go underneath the Lonely Mountain. The Lonely Mountain is an interesting card. So it has 12 threat, but it gets -2 threat for every card underneath. So it starts out with just 2 threat. And then when I'm making a burgle attempt, I can spend 2 Baggins resources, and I can take the card that I revealed from my deck, and I can put it into my hand, and then I reveal the next card from my deck. So when I do a burgle attempt, I need to discard cards from the top of the encounter deck until I get a card with the burgle keyword, and then it'll tell me what I need to try to do to burgle the card. But it always involves me shuffling my deck and then discarding the top card of my deck. So this gives me an option to try to burgle a second time in the same burgle attempt. Alright, we have a sleeping dragon that we need to worry about. It's Smaug the Golden. He has 50 engagement, X threat, where X is the number of non-burglar characters committed to the quest. He has 6 attack, 9 defense, 20 hit points. He's a dragon. He's indestructible. He's immune to player card effects, and he can't be engaged. And then forced, after the 6th progress token is placed here, the players advance to stage 4A. So Smaug is basically knocking a willpower off of everybody except Bilbo. So when I'm counting my willpower, I will always just be subtracting 1 willpower from all of my characters, which means when you're building a deck to take on the Lonely Mountain, you need to make sure that any character that you plan on committing to the quest can quest for at least 2. Alright, we got Bilbo back, so he's a 1/1/1/3, and then he does not count against your hero limit. He can't gain resources from any non-treasure cards, and then you can spend a Baggins resource to search your deck for a treasure card and add it to your hand. If he leaves play, we're going to lose. So Dine Ironfoot is back. It's hard to imagine a better hero for this quest, maybe Aragorn with a sword that was broken, because he's going to give all of my dwarves +1 willpower, and like I said, Smaug is knocking everybody's willpower down by 1 at the first stage here that we play against him. So it is very important to get willpower boosting from the get-go. So Dine Ironfoot is definitely an MVP against the Lonely Mountain. I'm once again running Ori. He's a lower dwarf with 8 threat, and then when I control 5 dwarf characters, I get to draw an additional card at the beginning of the resource phase. This quest is 100% a swarm quest. Bring as many characters as possible. It's the exact opposite of the last quest, where having a swarm didn't do much. In this case, having a swarm of allies is the best tech you can do against this quest, and I'm hoping to get a massive dwarf army in the first couple of turns. And then finally, there ain't no party like a Nori dwarf party. So Nori's here, he's spirit. He drops my threat when I play a dwarf from my hand, and he's just going to help fuel the dwarf swarm by allowing me access into spirit. It also lets me play a Test of Will, which is a pretty good card for this quest. Couple nasty treacheries we want to avoid. I typically try to build around them, but in this case, just playing a Test of Will is really the best route to go. I will be using my custom tracker, so resources for the 3 dwarf heroes across the top and my threat on the bottom. Alright, let's give the deck a shuffle, and let's see what I get for my opening hand. So again, I really want to create a dwarf swarm, but the best card I could get in my opening hand is We Are Not Idle. In fact, I'm going to do a hard mulligan for it. So if I don't have We Are Not Idle, I don't care what 6 cards I drew, I'm going to be trying to find We Are Not Idle in my mulligan. I also have Bilbo's Magic Ring shuffled into this deck. Bilbo, of course, can find it using his ability. So my goal here is, like I said, massive army, lots of willpower, and then I want to at least burgle successfully once, I would like to do it twice. Hopefully I can get 2 treasures. All right, let's see what I got here. Ooh, okay. I think I already see a good card, so I know I'm keeping this hand. Lure of Moria lets me ready all my dwarf characters. I got the West Road Traveler, 2 willpower, like I said. There is my We Are Not Idle. So what's really great is we get this free turn. So exhaust X dwarf heroes, it's supposed to say, and then I get to add the resources. So I'll be able to exhaust all 3 heroes, get 3 resources, and draw a card because no quest phase this round, so it's just a free turn. Very Good Tale helps me get the army moving. There's a new one, Glowin. So he costs 3, but then if you control 5 dwarf characters, you get to place 2 resources on a hero. And that happens after he enters play. So if he is the 5th dwarf to enter play, you get those 2 resources. That's fun. Okay, Miner of the Iron Hills. There is a condition attachment in this quest, so I'm going to be saving him for that. Great opening hand. Just really great. That's going to fuel my dwarf army. And then I get another West Road Traveler. All right, Bilbo, he gets some money. I'm going to spend that money right now and find my precious. So let's find that ring. I swear it's in here somewhere. It's in here. I'm mining for it. See this? I'm like digging and mining down. There it is. Okay, so we got the ring. So the ring, we earned that in the previous quest. It's a very fun card. So you can exhaust the ring to add a resource to Bilbo's resource pool, or you can exhaust the ring after Bilbo was declared a defender and raise your threat by 3 to cancel all damage. All right, so let's play this We Are Not Idle. So like I said, I exhausted all 3 heroes. I put the 3 resources on Dying, and I draw another We Are Not Idle. Okay, that's pretty good. This quest, you don't really get engaged by enemies. You're just worried about this dragon up in the staging area. All right, so like I said, here's the ring. I'm going to be putting that on Bilbo, and then what I'm going to be doing is trying to amass as many Baggins resources as possible, because I want to give myself the best shot of burgling correctly. So I need to have like 2 resources on him so I can try again with the burgle attempts. So I'm just going to try to keep raising my threat by 1, adding the resource, and then give myself the max amount of burgle attempts that I can to be successful. So I am going to raise my threat, and I'm going to grab that resource. All right, so we skipped the quest phase. Side 2A had nothing, and 2B, lots to talk about here. After questing successfully, place 1 progress on Smaug the Golden. Then the first player makes a burgle attempt. If successful, the first player takes the top treasure card from under the Lonely Mountain into his hand. Then the players may advance to stage 3. You get a choice. Force. After the first player makes an unsuccessful burgle attempt, Smaug the Golden attacks the first player. So you were not sneaky enough, and he's going to come and attack you. That's why I want to build up those Baggins resources so I can try to be successful. Also, we should talk about questing successfully means you have quested for a higher amount than the threat in the staging area. Let's look at the FAQ. You look at FAQ 1.24, questing successfully and the physical placement of progress tokens are 2 separate game occurrences that happen in a sequence during the quest resolution step. As soon as players determine the total committed willpower is greater than the total threat in the staging area, they are considered to have quested successfully. Any forced or passive effects initiated by questing successfully resolve before physically placing progress tokens. So basically what that's saying is you do the math and you determine if you have a greater number compared to the threat, and then that is when you have considered to have quested successfully or quested unsuccessfully, and if you did neither, then you don't quest unsuccessfully. You just quested even, and you haven't quested successfully or unsuccessfully. So questing unsuccessfully doesn't actually hurt you except for the threat increase. And since there's not going to be a bunch of enemies in staging I'm worried about coming down if my threat goes up, I might decide to quest unsuccessful on purpose. Okay, cool. So I drew the Imladris Stargazer, so she lets me peek at my deck. That doesn't help me for a burgle test, but it is going to help me get my dwarf army moving. You saw me use the ring. I put the ring back on. Now, unfortunately, the 2 dwarves I have in hand, I don't want to play either of them, because the one removes a condition attachment and the other one I don't get the benefit because I only have 4 dwarfs. So I'm going to spend 2 spirit resources. We're going to pop into some Imladris Stargazer. She's going to let me look at my top 5 cards and rearrange them. Okay, these are really good cards, except for the other copy of Mladra Stargazer. I actually spent, I don't know, 3 minutes probably? I did some editing here, trying to figure out which card I wanted to have as my next card. Because if I pick the dwarf there, I can't remember if that's Keely or Feely, he lets me find his brother. The Ziggy Miner there, he lets me get money by correctly naming a cost of the next 2 cards and then discard them. So it was a lot of choices. I really had to decide which way I wanted to go. Okay, so we're going to play this We Are Not Idle. And as I said earlier, I'm not worried about generating a lot of willpower right now. So I'm going to use We Are Not Idle, and I'm going to exhaust 2 heroes. I'm going to add 2 resources to Nori, and I get to draw a card. The card I draw is that Daron's Runes. Daron's Runes is going to let me draw 2 cards. So I draw, oh, it looks like it was Feely and Ziggy. So now I need to discard a card. And as you can see, I forget to do that. So I would have discarded a West Road Traveler. I'm going to put the Ziggy Miner into play, and that lets me drop my threat down by 1, thanks to Nori. I am now going to put Glowin into play. Glowin only costs 1 because I get to put 2 resources back on somebody's resource pool. So I'm going to spend 3 leadership resources and then put 2 right back. I drop my threat down by another 1. I'm going to exhaust Ziggy, and I'm going to say 2. And both the cards cost 2, so I get 2 more resources. I'm going to put those on Nori. I'm then going to spend 3 of my 4 leadership resources to put Feely in, and then he's going to let me go search my deck for Keely. So let's see if I can find the other one. These Dwarven Mall Santas, I call them. All right, there we go. So I got the 2 brothers in play, trying to keep everything in focus on this camera and in frame. So I get to drop my threat by 1 more, just 1. You don't get to drop it for the brother, just the one you played from your hand. Give the deck a shuffle. And then I'm going to play a very good tail. So I'm going to use Keely and Feely for that. So they are 6 resources worth of allies. So I just shuffled my deck already. So let's look at the top 5 cards, and I get to put in 6 resources worth of allies, maximum of 2 allies. Unfortunately, I didn't get one of the allies I was really hoping for. I was hoping for Faramir and maybe one of the bigger dwarves that cost more. So I guess I'll just put in the Erebor Record Keeper and this Miner of the Iron Hills. Maybe the other Record Keeper would have been a better choice. But I wanted the Miner of the Iron Hills because he can defend. The Record Keeper is not allowed to defend. So that's been a lot. This was a lot on the planning phase. So now let's commit to the quest. And like I said, if I quest successfully, I'm going to have to make a burgle attempt. And if I don't pass the burgle attempt, I'm going to have an attack from Smaug. So I'm really trying to decide, do I want to make a burgle attempt? Or do I want to just plan on questing even? And so I only send 2 to the quest. And I reveal, oh, okay, here we go. So this is Dragon Spell. So when revealed, we attach it to the hero with the most resources without Dragon Spell attached. Counts as a condition attachment. Attached hero gets -1 willpower for each resource in his resource pool, and then when I spend resources, I have to take damage equal to those resources spent. Okay, so I have 2 heroes that have the same amount of resources, and I make a really boneheaded move. I put it on Ori, but I'm planning on playing that Miner of the Iron Hills next turn. So I should have put it on Nori. I forgot about that you take damage thing. Okay, so at the end of the round, everybody readies, and then Stargazer is going to let me take a peek at my next 5 cards, and I definitely want to draw that Ever Vigilant and Faramir. Those 2 cards are how I'm planning to basically win the game. Those are my key cards right there. So I'm glad to see those 2 cards. Now I'm just trying to decide what to do with the next 3. And so I decide to set my deck like this, and we're going to go into the round. So everyone gets a resource. I've already raised my threat. And then I draw 2 cards because I control at least 5 dwarfs. So I do draw that Ever Vigilant, and I draw Faramir. Okay, I'm going to raise my threat by 1, grab the ring again, and get another Baggins resource. So now I have 4 of those. I'm going to say 2 for the Ziggy, and the next 2 cards cost 2. So I get to place 2 resources somewhere. I put those on Dine, and then I'm going to spend Ori's 2 resources to put this Miner of the Iron Hills into play. And like I said, I should have put it on Nori, but I didn't. So trying to... It's really hard. I mean, if you look at how much playmat I am not using when I play these playthroughs, it's kind of ridiculous how much I have to cram everything in. So anyway, spent 2 resources, dropped my threat, and then Ori is going to take 2 damage because he takes damage equal to the amount of resources spent. So, but I did get rid of this condition attachment, so that's nice. I have 4 resources on Dine, so there's no reason to not play Faramir right now. He can help me adjust my willpower, which is pretty key. I'll tell you what, if I was playing with 3 core sets, I would definitely be running 3 copies of Henemarth. I have 1, but if I had Henemarth in play, it would make questing a lot easier because I'm really just guessing how much willpower to send. So since Dine is boosting everybody's willpower by 1, I just count everybody's willpower as their printed willpower. Smaug is basically negating Dine's boost. So those 3 characters mean I'm sending 3 against 2, and we get, okay, pretending to sleep, it's going to surge. We're going to put 1 progress token on Smaug, and then I can spend X Baggins resources or advance to stage 4A. X is the number of progress tokens on Smaug. So I do not want to advance to stage 4. Advancing to stage 4 is not what you want to do. So I am going to spend a Baggins resource once I place this progress on Smaug. And that kind of stinks. I really didn't want to spend the Baggins resources. And it surges. So it surges into a hidden path 3 threat while it's the active location. Locations in the staging area, you get -1 threat. And I have to spend 2 Baggins resources to travel there. Ugh, I don't want to be spending these resources. And it's adding 3 threat. So now I'm under questing. There's 5 threat in staging. You know, kinda. I mean, again, Smaug's threat is just, I'm subtracting it from the dwarves. So I am under questing right now. If I use Faramir, I will make a progress. So I will have quested successfully. So I'm debating, I'm going back and forth. Do I want to quest successfully? Do I not want to quest successfully? In the end, I decide I will quest successfully. So I'll use Faramir. We have quested successfully. And that means all of the stuff on stage 2B is going to trigger. So we're going to be placing a progress on Smaug. If he ever reaches 6 progress, we're going to advance. Okay, and then we have to do a burgle attempt. So we discard cards till we get a burgle card. Here it is. I have to shuffle my deck. I reveal the top card, and then I can discard a card from my hand that matches the sphere and type. So these are hard. These are really, really hard to do because I didn't build this deck to pass these burgle tests. I'm just hoping I can pass them. You don't have to be a successful burglar to win. It's not like the riddle mechanic. So I'm going to give the deck a shuffle, and then we're going to discard the top card, and I'm going to have hopefully have 1 card in my hand that is the sphere and type. Okay, the card I get, a Test of Will. I don't think so. I do not have a spirit event. So I am going to have to spend 2 Baggins resources. I get to take that Test of Will into hand, and we're going to try to burgle again. Let's see the next one here. This is great. Okay, it's a leadership event. Okay, well, I do actually have 2 leadership events. So I can use this Lure of Moria as my leadership event. And I have successfully burgled the Lonely Mountain. Okay, that's great. I'm going to use Thor's Key, sneak in through the hidden side door, and then let's see what the top treasure is. The top treasure is... okay. Thor's Battle Axe. Okay, that's pretty good. So attached hero gets +2 attack, and then after you attack with the axe, you can deal a damage to another enemy engaged with you. So pretty cool. I have removed a card from underneath the Lonely Mountain, so the Lonely Mountain does have more threat now. It is now a 4 threat location in the staging area. I can't travel because it costs 2 Baggins resources to do so, so we're just going to go into the end of the round. Everybody readies, I raise my threat, and then Stargazer's going to take a peek at the next 5 cards, and I'm going to try to set those up to help me out. Got some good cards here. King Under the Mountain helps you get cards into your hand. I got some good dwarves as well. So King Under the Mountain works like you look at the top 2 cards of your deck, you add 1 to your hand, and you discard the other. That is not drawing a card. So if you're playing a quest that punishes you for drawing cards, that does not count as drawing a card. You're looking at the cards and then taking one into your hand and discarding the other. So that's good tech against any quests that punish you for drawing cards. All right, so I also drew Biffer. So while you control at least 5 dwarf characters, Biffer gains response. After you play Biffer from your hand, draw 2 cards. That's very nice. So if I can get him in play, I get to draw 2 more cards. I also have the Erebor Hammersmith, which would let me pull back an attachment from the top of my discard pile, whichever one is the topmost. So I'm just trying to decide, I don't really have a good target for Ziggy. The cards I want to draw mean the cards I leave in my deck are not all the same cost, but that's okay. All right, so we're going to gain our resources. I'm going to raise my threat by 1 and put the ring back on and get another resource. I'm going to draw my 2 cards. Whoops, I just tossed a dwarf. Okay, so there we go. I drew those 2 lore dwarves there. So I am going to play the Erebor Hammersmith. He costs 2. I forget to drop my threat. I have a lot going on, so Nori should have dropped my threat, but it's a response. But anyway, Narvi's Belt was the topmost attachment in my discard pile. So Narvi's Belt, you attach to a dwarf, and then you name a sphere after exhausting the belt, and that dwarf has that sphere for that phase. So that'll help me do some resource smoothing. Lots of cards in hand. In the staging area, there's currently 7 threat plus Smaug. All right, committing to the quest. Once again, I'm at that conundrum where I'm trying to decide exactly how much I need to send, how much should I send. Faramir can boost if I need to adjust my willpower. So this is tricky. I think I'll send enough willpower so I'm currently questing even. So let's send 7 against the current 7 threat. And we get known to an ounce. When revealed, each player discards 2 random cards from their hand until the end of the phase. Each dragon enemy in play gets +1 threat for each event discarded by this effect. Well, since I have a test of will and I'm being forced to discard cards, I'm just going to play the test of will. This isn't the worst treachery, but if I discard the test of will, I would have wished I just played it, and then I could have saved a card in my hand. Okay, so 7 to 7s. I am not going to use Faramir, so I did not quest successfully or unsuccessfully, so I don't have to do anything. I have 2 Baggins resources to spend to travel there, and that does reduce the threat of the Lonely Mountain by 1, because the Lonely Mountain is only immune to player card effects. And then once again, at the end of the round, everybody ready? Raise my threat. Stargazer takes a peek. All right, looking at these cards, I didn't use Ziggy last turn because I did not like my options of what cards I would have to discard. I think I'm going to draw a Test of Will and King Under the Mountain. Ugh, God. Okay, once again, I don't have a good target for Ziggy. None of the cards that I want to have discarded cost the same amount. So I'm going to set it up like that, and I think I'm going to have Ziggy discard those 2 high-cost allies. I don't need them. Everyone gets a resource, including Bilbo. I draw 2 cards. King Under the Mountain and another Test of Will, so glad to have that back in hand. I'm going to play Narvi's Belt on Nori, so 2 leadership resources, and he can now use any resource sphere if I exhaust it. Ziggy's going to say 3. One of the 2 cards costs 3, so I get 1 resource on somebody. I'm going to put that on Ori. Ori and the Belt are going to spend 3 lore resources, so Nori now has the lore icon through the end of this phase. And then I get to draw 2 cards for putting him into play. And I get Bofer, so I can sneak him in during the quest phase, and I also get an Erebor Record Keeper. So that's pretty cool. So Erebor Record Keeper is going to come into play. He's going to help me quest. I just remembered I just played 2 dwarves, so I get to drop my threat by 2. And then I might as well play this Battle Axe. I was keeping it in my hand in case I burgled and got an attachment, but to be honest, I think I've drawn or seen most of my attachments, so I really doubt an attachment is going to be the burgle card if I do it again. Alrighty, so now, how much to send on this quest? I want to clear that active location, so I'm definitely going to have to quest successfully. So I send quite a bit, and I get a Surging Croaking Crow. And then when a location is revealed from the encounter deck, we place a progress on Smaug the Golden. This is the other enemy in this quest. freaking crow. All right, then we get the secret entrance. It's just a 1 threat, and then while it's the active location, the Lonely Mountains threat is reduced by half. But to travel there, we kind of have to do a pseudo burgle thing, where I'm going to name a card type from the encounter deck, and then we reveal the top card of the encounter deck. If the revealed card is not the name type, we do not get to travel there. All right, so once I add up all the threat that was in staging, placing the progress on Smaug, I have quested for 4 more than I needed, which is enough to clear the active location, because that reduced the threat of that secret entrance I revealed. So another progress on Smaug. We're going to discard cards until we get a burgle. Okay, we got it. The first player shuffles his deck, reveals the top card. I have to discard 2 cards from my hand that match the card's type. So discarding 2 cards is tough. That's very tough. I do have a chance. I need it to be an ally. I do have 2 events, but I do not want to get rid of my events. So I'm hoping that I'm going to burgle an ally and I can discard 2. So the card I get, okay, no, absolutely not. So this is a spirit event, but it's an event I absolutely want. So I actually could do it, but I'd have to discard a Test of Will and Ever Vigilant, which I do not want to discard those 2 cards. So I am definitely going to spend Bilbo's resources, even though I could be successful. There's no condition that says you can't do it. I'm going to spend the resources, take that into hand. Okay, and then the next card we get is an ally. So I hope you guys are okay with this. I really didn't feel like re-recording everything after I realized this mistake during editing. But I need to discard 2 allies, and I think I have 2 West Road Travelers in hand. But I should have discarded 1 to that Daron's Runes. But I do have Bofur in my hand, so I would have just discarded Bofur instead. I absolutely don't need him, so I would have been successful either way. It's just a different ally that I would have discarded. So I get to look under the Lonely Mountain again, so I use the key, and I get the Mithril Shirt. Okay, so that's pretty good. So that's going to help Bilbo. He gets +1 defense and +1 hit point. Thor's Cup is probably the one I wanted the most. That lets you do a 1-time draw 3 cards. That's very nice, and I was really hoping to use it. Alrighty, so we have made a successful burgle attempt, and now we can advance to stage 3 if we want. I think we shall. So let's see what stage 3 has for us. It's 3A, Inside Information. When revealed, we set Smaug the Golden aside out of play. We're going to add Smaug the Magnificent and Bear Patch. And then it's 20 quest points. Players cannot defeat the stage while Smaug the Magnificent is in play. If the total number of progress on this stage is greater than the total remaining hit points on Smaug the Magnificent, remove Smaug the Magnificent from play. If the players defeat this stage, they have won the game and discovered any treasures that we burgled. So you can place extra progress on these quest cards, which is a good thing because Smaug the Magnificent has 20 hit points. He's a 6/8/8. Indestructible, immune, dragon, cannot leave the staging area except by quest effect, but is considered to be engaged with the first player. So that's why you need some chump blockers. Forced, after he is dealt a shadow card with a burgle effect, he makes an additional attack immediately after this one. There has just been some absolute horror stories where he has attacked 4 or 5 times in a row. It's insane. There's a card that is really helpful in multiplayer. It's Rider of the Mark. That'll let you just get rid of the shadow card, and you can avoid those chaining attacks. So if you're playing multiplayer, definitely be running that. All right, Bear Patch information. When attached, he gets -3 defense, and then after we quest successfully, we can make a burgle attempt and to attach the Bear Patch to Smaug. All right, let's look at this secret entrance. So we can go there if we reveal an encounter card, and then we have to name a type though. So let's name a type, and we'll see if we can go to the secret entrance. So you have to exhaust a hero, and I am going to say Treachery. I think most of the deck is Treacheries. So let's see what we get. Oh, great. And it's not even anything that matters because it's a Treachery that makes you get less willpower during the quest phase. So that doesn't affect me at all. So I don't even have to reveal it. Wonderful. All right. I'm getting attacked by a dragon. The crow can stay up in staging. So basically, like I said, that Miner of the Iron Hills, he is going to defend. And yes, it's the stupid bats, but they have no burgle shadow, so I don't have to take an extra attack. Obviously, I had plenty of dwarf allies that could have taken the extra attack. Okay, so now my board state's a disaster. I'm going to clean it up, and we're going to have Stargazer look at my top 5 cards. So I got my board state looking nicer. I've arranged the cards as you saw. And we're going to get into the next round. Everybody got their money. I raised my threat. I'm drawing another Ever Vigilant and a Daron's Runes. I'm going to say 2 for Ziggy. The next 2 cards cost 2, so I get 2 resources somewhere. I'm going to put those on Nori since he has the belt, so he can spend resources as any sphere, so he's the logical choice. Okay, Daron's Runes. Let's see if I remember to discard a card this time. And I do draw a Legacy of Durin and a Ziggy. I'm going to discard the Ziggy. I have these cards in hand. I should not have Bofur. I'm going to play the Mithril Shirt just to give Bilbo some extra defense and hit points. And then just pretend Bofur is not in play. It's not going to matter, but just pretend he's not there. Okay, so we are going to go into the quest phase, and I am going to be sending as much willpower as possible. And that is how you beat this quest. You just do a massive willpower push as soon as you survive that first attack from Smaug, and as long as you can put 21 progress on the main quest, you will win. So let's see how much I send. Again, Bofur's not in play, but Smaug is no longer making each of my characters -1 willpower. So I am actually sending 23, and then I'm going to exhaust Faramir and add 11 more. So just don't pay attention to my actual tracker. It's not right. And then I'm going to play Ever Vigilant, which lets me ready an ally card. So I'm going to ready Faramir, and then I'm going to boost everybody again. So I'm going to send 11 more willpower. And then I see I forgot to spend the resource, but it doesn't matter because I know I've pretty much won. Narvi's Belt, I'm going to exhaust. I'll say Leadership, and I'll play a second copy of Ever Vigilant, ready Faramir again, and I'm going to boost my willpower by 11 more. So now I have actually lapped my encounter playmat. And then, if that's not enough, 2 more spirit resources to play Untroubled by Darkness, which is going to boost all my dwarves. And when it's all said and done, I have sent a massive amount of willpower. Not counting Bofur, I have sent on stubby little legs 66. So that is the Dwarf Swarm. That is what they can do. I am up against 10. And I reveal, okay, so this card would have really sucked. It would have made me had to choose a sphere, and only characters from that sphere plus the Baggin sphere could count their willpower. So that is why a Test of Will is in this deck. So I don't have that card come out. So I play a Test of Will, I cancel that Treachery, so all of my progress counts. Funny enough, if I do the math, if I had said lore, I think I would have made enough. I would have had 9 more than I needed. So I didn't have to play a Test of Will. I think I actually could have stomached that Treachery if I did the math correctly here. But anyway, I hope you enjoy that video. That's how you can beat the Lonely Mountain. We have collected 2 treasure cards that we will take with us to the Battle of the 5 Armies. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.